Hi, welcome to another episode of Real Gold, where we discuss classic films, their relevance and importance, and whether they deserve the awards that they received. I am your host, Matt Duffy. Today, I'm going to be talking about the essential classic film, On the Waterfront, directed by Elia Kazan and starring Marlon Brando. I'm going to talk a little bit about the film, a little bit about the pre-production and the history of making the film, as well as its casting, and then I'm going to talk about its critical reception, Brando's influence, and its turnout at the 27th Academy Awards, where it won 8 Oscars, including Best Picture. So, let's dive in. Former prize fighter and dock worker Terry Malloy teams up with street smarts priest Father Barry and Edie Doyle, the sister of his deceased co-worker, to testify against the corrupt and violent Longshoremen's Union, spearheaded by Johnny Friendly and Johnny's right-hand man Charlie the Gent, who also happens to be Terry's brother. The film stars Marlon Brando as Terry Malloy, Eva Marie Saint as Edie Doyle, Carl Malden as Father Barry, Rod Steiger as Charlie the Gent, and Lee J. Cobb as Johnny Friendly. On the Waterfront is an excellent film. It is an essential film. Not only that, it is an essential classic film. And if you've never seen it, I highly recommend you watch it. If you've seen it already, watch it again. You will find something new. I guarantee it. But between the amazing performances by everyone in the cast, to the cinematography by Boris Kaufman, to the film score by Leonard Bernstein, from like West Side Story, this is his only film score. Everything was just a 10. And just to watch Terry's journey from beginning to end, Marlon Brando is just a powerhouse performer. If I had to pick my one scene and my one shot, I mean, how can you not choose the taxi cab scene between Rod Steiger and Marlon Brando? Marlon Brando's monologue alone is iconic. The way he effuses those lines and his reactions towards his brother's deceit is just brilliant. Watching it again, I was so moved by just the subtlety of his work. It was just chef's kiss.
You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody instead of a bum, which is what I am.
If I had to recommend another scene, I would choose the glove scene between Eva Marie Saint and Marlon Brando. The script by Bud Schulberg was suggested by the 1949 Pulitzer Prize-winning articles Crimes on the Waterfront by Malcolm Johnson, as well as some of the research Schulberg did on various New York and New Jersey waterfronts, as well as the New York waterfront crime hearings. Kazan was interested in the project after an earlier project, The Hook, with Arthur Miller, fell through. After rejection by Darryl Zanuck and 20th Century Fox, independent producer Sam Spiegel shopped it around at first to United Artists and then made a deal with distributor Columbia. Now, it would behoove me not to talk about the political context behind the making of the film, which dealt with its director, Elia Kazan. Kazan was a famous Greek-American director. He started off as an actor in the 1930s and joined the group theater, where he then transitioned to directing for the stage. He directed the original productions of Death of a Salesman and A Streetcar Named Desire. He also co-founded the Actors Studio in 1947. Around this time, he began to direct for film, and a lot of his films dealt with social dramas. In 1947, he directed Gentleman's Agreement, which dealt with anti-Semitism. Gentleman's Agreement won the Academy Award for Best Picture and won Kazan his first Oscar for Best Director. He then did Pinky in 1949, and then in 1951 did the film adaptation of A Streetcar Named Desire. A Streetcar Named Desire was another success for Kazan. At the 24th Academy Awards, it was nominated for 12 Oscars, including Best Picture and Best Director. It ended up winning 4. 3 of those would be in the acting categories: Best Actress for Vivian Leigh, Best Supporting Actor for Carl Malden, and Best Supporting Actress for Kim Hunter. But then his career came to an abrupt halt. In 1952, he was called as a witness by the House of Un-American Activities Committee. At this point, McCarthyism was rampant across the country. At first, Kazan didn't name any names, but the second time, he named the names of 8 of his former group theater colleagues, which he contested were names that the committee already knew about. This put a stigma on his back and brought an adverse reaction from many of his liberal colleagues in the film industry. On the Waterfront became a way for him to justify his actions and an answer to those who criticized him for being a friendly witness. And you can even see some of the parallels between Kazan and Terry. The most interesting thing about this film is Marlon Brando. And at first, Brando rejected the part. The role of Terry was originally intended for actor John Garfield. Garfield, unfortunately, was blacklisted and had passed away at an early age. Brando rejected the part, some say due to Kazan's testimony. Frank Sinatra then was tapped to play the part of Terry. Sinatra had a handshake deal. Nothing written, but it was a verbal agreement. And Sinatra went, I believe, as far as a costume fitting for the part. While this was all happening, Kazan and Sam Spiegel were trying to cajole Brando back to the part. With Brando, they were ensured a bigger budget. Kazan even went at great lengths to look at Brando-esque actors. He enlisted the help of his friend Karl Malden to direct a screen test between two Actors Studio students. Those two students were up-and-coming stars Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward. Paul Newman's name was then thrown into the mix for Terry. Ultimately, through many talks, Brando came back and committed to the film. Sinatra was furious, and he demanded if he couldn't be Terry, then he wanted to play the part of Father Barry. Unfortunately for Sinatra, Kazan had already cast Karl Malden in the part. Sinatra then sued Sam Spiegel for damages, and they eventually settled out of court. But it all worked out because the year after, Sinatra would win the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for his role in From Here to Eternity. So, I mean, it worked out for everyone. The role of Edie was between Eva Marie Saint and Elizabeth Montgomery, who would later be known for her role as Samantha Stevens on Bewitched. Kazan said that there was something well-bred about Montgomery that was not becoming for Edie, who had been raised on the Hoboken waterfront. Grace Kelly had rejected the role in order to star in Rear Window. For the role of Charlie, actor Lawrence Tierney lost the role to method actor Rod Steiger because he asked for too much money. After watching a screening of the film, Brando was embarrassed by his performance. He walked out, but he was so wrong. Not only was the film a commercial success, it was a critical success. There were raves all over the country. The Hollywood Reporter wrote, "The story is as fresh and terrifying as today's newspaper. This brutal, violently realistic drama set against the sordid background of the New York waterfront packs a terrific wallop that results in top-flight entertainment. Kazan's direction, Boris Kaufman's photography, and Gene Milford's expert editing keep a mood of tortured, muted beauty alive in all the love scenes. Marlon Brando delivers a performance that grabs your heart in a calloused fist and never lets go. Almost everyone concerned is eligible for an Academy nomination." The New York Times wrote, "It is nevertheless an uncommonly powerful, exciting, and imaginative use of the screen by gifted professionals."
In Hollywood, on the waterfront, Gene Milford.
On the waterfront, Bud Schulberg. On the waterfront, Elia Kazan. On the waterfront, Dan Spiegel. In New York, the winner is Eva Marie.
The winner is Marlon Brando's On the Waterfront.
On the Waterfront was a smash hit, and at the 27th Academy Awards, it was nominated for 12 Oscars. It was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director for Elia Kazan, Best Actor for Marlon Brando, Best Supporting Actress for Eva Marie Saint, 3 in the Best Supporting Actor category for Lee J. Cobb, Karl Malden, and Rod Steiger, Best Original Screenplay for Bud Schulberg, Best Art Direction Black and White, Best Cinematography Black and White, Best Film Editing, and Best Original Score. The film would ultimately win 8. It would win everything except Best Original Score and Best Supporting Actor. I believe that the 3 actors split the vote, leading for Edmund O'Brien to win for The Barefoot Contessa.
I may have the baby right here.
Eva Marie Saint would win for her debut performance against veterans in her category, and she is excellent in the film. There is a tenderness and strength in her performance, and she is just as good of an actor as Brando in their scenes together. And as of the production of this video, she is the oldest surviving Academy Award winner.
It's much heavier than I imagined.
At this time, Brando was a 4-time nominee for Best Actor. He was nominated 4 years in a row, which speaks to his brilliance. This year, it was considered a rematch between him and Humphrey Bogart in the Caine Mutiny. Bogart had won in an upset victory in 1951 over Brando with his performance in The African Queen against Brando's performance in A Streetcar Named Desire. Marlon Brando was nominated in 1952 for Viva Zapata and in 1953 for Julius Caesar. This year, the frontrunner was considered Bing Crosby for his dramatic turn in The Country Girl. Can you imagine that we lived in a world where Marlon Brando's performance performance in On the Waterfront was not considered a frontrunner, but rather a 3-horse race. It's insane. Nevertheless, Marlon Brando prevailed and won the Oscar for Best Actor. He is also the first actor to win the Oscar, the Golden Globe, and the BAFTA for Best Actor for the same role. Brando's performance in this film is not only influential, but it was considered to be a watershed moment in American cinema. After studying with Stella Adler in the 1940s, he was credited with bringing the Stanislavski acting method as well as method acting to the forefront. In his autobiography, A Life, Elia Kazan writes, "If there is a better performance by a man in the history of film in America, I don't know what it is." Martin Scorsese, in an article with the LA Times, spoke about Brando's performance, saying, "It became a touchstone of our sense of what is truthful in art." And then you have the many actors who have considered Brando to be a great influence in their work and in their life, such as Jack Nicholson, Al Pacino, and Robert De Niro, who even also studied with Stella Adler, all the way down to Ryan Gosling, who was even quoted with saying, "You can't help but be affected by him." I can even attest to the greatness of Marlon Brando. I had studied at the Stella Adler studio, and we had touched upon Marlon Brando and his influence on artists and humans alike. On the Waterfront is an essential classic film. And in 2007, AFI had released their updated 100 Years, 100 Movies chart, and it ranked at number 19. On their 100 Years, 100 Movie Quotes list, Brando's famous line, "You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody instead of a bum, which is what I am," ranked number 3, as well as other numerous rankings by AFI, including their 100 Years, 100 Cheers, Film Scores, and 100 Heroes and Villains, where Terry Malloy was named number 23. So if you haven't had the chance to see On the Waterfront, I highly recommend it. Not only because it is a great Best Picture win, but because of Marlon Brando's lasting performance over 65 years later. And if you've seen it already, watch it again. You will find something new that you did not notice, and you will be awestruck. You will not regret it. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to hit like and comment, subscribe, and share it with your friends. And don't forget to follow me on social media at MattDuffy33. I had so much fun making this video, and I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Be on the lookout for another video coming soon, and I will see you guys later.